minutes to give me testimony.
We're just asking for 10 minutes.
Your Honor, Your Honor.
I have order in this court.
What's he saying?
Just 10 minutes.
Bailiff, clear the court.
All right, now, let's clear the court.
You see what you've done?
Hi, Dunn. You're the one who lost his temper. Everyone out, please.
You'd only listen to what's being
Well, trouble is
said.
you don't say anything we're listening to. The judge told you.
Judge was talking to you.
This isn't getting us anywhere.
We could get somewhere if you'd be more open.
More open, I've given you every piece of evidence we have. What more do you
I
need?
need facts. I need documents. I need to develop arguments the jury will understand.
Getting along. Now, why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult to avoid conflict? And why is it so difficult to resolve conflict? 50% of the cases that come before me could have and should have been settled out of court. The time that's wasted, the energy that's wasted, the hurt feelings, the bruised egos. Sure, I know that some conflicts between people are unavoidable, or sometimes they can even be helpful. But most of the conflicts we have with other people are destructive, and they could be avoided or resolved successfully if we knew the skills of managing conflict.
Getting along? How can you get along when there are so many people who want to argue all the time? It seems like everyone has a chip on his shoulder.
Right. It's all those other people that cause arguments. Have you ever seen a conflict that didn't involve two people? If you keep getting into fights with others, take a good look in the mirror. Maybe that person needs to learn some of the skills of avoiding conflict.
Getting along? Sure, I'd like to get along. But how can you keep from losing your temper when people around you don't use their heads?
Can you believe he's a manager? If he knew even the simplest skills of avoiding conflict, he'd be able to handle situations without becoming angry.
I like to get along with everyone, but that means giving in to the other person. You have to fight to keep people from taking advantage of you all the time.
You don't have to fight. You have to be smart to keep people from taking advantage of you. If you know the skills of avoiding conflict, you can stand up for yourself without getting into arguments.
63, 55, 56,
So,
57.
how do we
Here it
manage
is.
conflict?
Thank you, Maria.
No problem.
There it is, in black and white. $6 each delivered.
Jean, how many years have I been supplying you?
What does that have to do with it?
In all of that time, have I ever changed a price on you?
That doesn't matter.
But it's out of our hands. Our supplier has raised the cost of the fabric. We can't make them for that price anymore.
I want to show you something. We have 30,000 mailers printed up with this discount and this item.
Why can't you see our problem? We'll lose money at the old price.
Well, that's your problem. Are you going to supply the sleepers at the price you quoted, or aren't you? If not...
If not, what?
This is ridiculous. This could go on all day and night, and they still wouldn't be any closer to solving the problem. All they're doing is fighting a war. They think that one person has to win and one person has to lose. But it doesn't have to be that way. Instead of being combative, that is, arguing without reason, a person in this situation needs to be assertive. That means standing up for yourself without becoming emotional and hostile. Now let's see what happens when someone knows how to use the skills of assertiveness.
You stated in your purchase order that you would sell us these sleepers at this price.
But the fabric is costing us $4 a yard more.
I understand that your costs have increased, but in the purchase order, you quoted a delivered price of $6 each.
But there'll be no profit for us at that price.
You have a right to make a profit, but the price on the purchase order is $6.
If we used cheaper fabric, the quality wouldn't be as good. Now, you don't want us to do that, do you?
Oh, your company has always produced high-quality goods. I don't expect that to change. And, of course, the purchase order says you'll deliver this product for $6.
Jean's using some basic assertiveness skills to move this conflict toward a solution. First, she's calm and understanding, but firm. When Fred makes a point, she doesn't debate it with him, but agrees. And most important, she keeps repeating her main argument. Eventually, he's going to run out of ammunition, and he'll have to acknowledge her point.
Okay, I agree. We did quote a price of $6 in the purchase order. But what can I do?
Now's the time. Jean's assertiveness has brought the conversation to a point where she can suggest a solution. And she's ready.
Here's what we could do. You ship us our order of 800 pieces. Whatever we sell during our sale, we'll pay for at the $6 price. That'll cover us. Whatever's left, whether it's 200 or 300 pieces, we'll pay for at the higher price. That way, you'll make some profit on the order.
By using the skills of assertiveness, knowing how to be firm without becoming hostile, a person can turn a conflict from a battle into a search for a solution. Now let's talk about anger. Tom here has been given the job of stacking these boxes by 5 p.m. And it's now 5 minutes to 5.
Tom? Tom, where are you?
Right here, Mr. Higgins. Just a few more boxes.
Okay, but let's get moving on this thing.
What's up?
What's the matter with you? Can't you do anything right?
Hey, you told me to get this done by 5 o'clock. It's your fault I've got to rush.
Don't give me that. Now clean up this mess.
This sort of thing happens all the time, to all of us. Short tempers, quick fuses, comments made on the spur of the moment. But these conflicts could be avoided so easily, simply by delaying response. Counting to 10.
What do you mean, count to 10? It's up to me to tell people when they make mistakes. If I don't do it, who will?
But all you're doing is making the situation worse. Now, it should be obvious to Tom here that he made a mistake. You're just causing resentment in an unhappy employee.
Well, I guess I do lose my temper sometimes.
Well, that's why you have to teach yourself to respond to tense situations by waiting, delaying your response.
Well, what do I do while I count to 10?
Well, first, get control of yourself. Take a deep breath. Now, what is it you want?
Well, I want him to do his job, and I want him to do it right.
And how is he going to learn to do it right?
I guess you're right. It is up to me. I've got to teach him how.
Now we're getting somewhere. Why don't you do that? Counting to 10. It's such a simple skill, but such an important one. It allows us to control our anger so we can react to situations in a positive way rather than a negative one.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it for today.
Well, you certainly messed that one up. If you're going to be in this business, you've got to get on the ball.
Look, Barbara, I'm trying.
You're not trying hard enough. If you tried hard enough, you could do it. You have the wrong attitude. And after all the help I've given you.
Help? If you call climbing on my back every 5
Listen,
minutes...
you can't talk to me like that.
I'll talk to you any way I want to.
Now, isn't that silly? 2 grown women acting like a couple of kids. What we have here is a person who doesn't know how to criticize in a constructive way. Oh, she wants to be helpful, but she just doesn't have the skills to do it tactfully. And not knowing how to criticize will always lead to conflict. What did Barbara do wrong? Just about everything. The first mistake Barbara made was choosing the wrong place to criticize. She should have picked a private place instead of embarrassing Linda in front of her class.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it for today.
Linda, can I see you for a few moments? Let's go over here where it's quiet.
If Barbara was skilled at criticism, she'd know that her first statement should be a positive one.
You know, Linda, you're coming along pretty well.
Then, once the other person is comfortable, put your criticism in a tactful way. Don't criticize the other person. Criticize her behavior.
It's important to project a lot of enthusiasm. That makes it easier for the group.
You might use your own experiences to help make your point and soften the criticism.
I had the same problem when I was starting, but I worked out a technique to solve it. What I did was spend...
And you must be specific. Tell the other person exactly what to do to improve.
Be sure to watch each individual in the class to see that they're keeping up with you.
Finally, wrap up your criticism with a positive statement.
And when you work out those things, you're going to be a really great instructor. And don't forget, I'm always here to help if you need it.
Barbara's tactful approach has turned what could be a conflict into a positive situation. She's chosen the right place to make her criticism. She's put Linda at ease with positive statements. And she's criticized Linda's behavior, not Linda as a person. To be able to get along, one of the key skills is communication. And the skilled communicator is someone who knows how to listen. So many conflicts are generated simply because people refuse to listen to each other.
Okay, I've got the schedule finished for next week. You'll finish all the metal work on the 6th floor by Monday, and I'll have the ducts for the heating system delivered on Tuesday.
But that won't work. We're already 3 days behind on the 6th floor.
Now, the 4th floor, all the flooring needs to be done by Friday.
We haven't even started the flooring. All my flooring guys are still on 3. Of course, if you want me to hire a whole new crew.
Now,
I'll do
let's
that.
talk about setting the windows on 1 and 2.
You want to talk about windows? Go ahead, let's talk about windows. And you can also figure out who's going to set them, because I'm going to lunch.
What's the matter with you? Are you listening to me?
It seems simple, listening, but so many people have never learned to do it. Now, Joe here is on the verge of generating a disastrous conflict because he's so wrapped up in his own plans and ideas that he refuses to hear and understand what Phil is trying to tell him. Now, listening is hard work. It takes effort. But it's the only way we can find out what other people are thinking and how they feel. And unless we know how others feel, we can't avoid conflicts with them. To get along with people, to avoid conflicts, learn to listen.
You're not going to put that plant there.
As a matter of fact, I thought I would.
You're kidding. It ruins the whole effect. Move it a ½ inch to the right.
A ½ inch, what possible difference could that make?
Either do it right or don't do it. Here, I'll show you what I mean.
What's happening here is a real tragedy. Now, Sonia and Amy are partners in their own display company. Well, they're both good at what they do. They have everything going for them. But they're not getting along.
No. It's no good. It's just not right. We're going to have to move this out and start all over again.
Apparently, I can't do anything right.
Oh, stop moaning and help me move this thing.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to work all night again.
I don't care. I refuse to leave until it's right. Well, I'm going to get some staples from the storeroom.
Conflicts like this cause more than bad feelings. They cost time and money, too. Let's see what we can do about it. Psst, Amy. Amy, what is this with you and Sonia?
What do you mean?
Well, you have a problem.
You can tell? Oh, I don't know what to do. She's such a perfectionist. Everything has to be done exactly right by her standards, and I'm the one that does all the work.
And this is hard for you to live with.
It's driving me crazy. We're almost a day behind on this job, and there's nothing I can do about it.
But there is something you can do.
Oh, I've tried everything.
Have you? Have you tried being less defensive?
Me? Defensive?
Amy, whining and moaning and being a martyr isn't going to solve this conflict. Now, if there's something about Sonia that you don't like, well, you have to confront her with it. but in an open and non-threatening way. And you have to be ready to hear her side of it. You know, maybe you have some qualities that she isn't particularly thrilled with.
I don't think Sonia will listen to me.
How do you know unless you try?
What should I say?
Well, tell her the things about her that bother you most. But don't become emotional about it. Be calm and friendly. Look, tell you what, why don't you practice on me?
Well, okay. Sonia, we really need to talk about the way we work together.
Not bad, keep going.
I'm not a perfectionist, and you are. I think you have talent and ability, and so do I. But you must understand that if we're to work together, there has to be some compromise.
Well, that ought to get the ball rolling. But just remember that she'll probably have something to say, and it might not be what you expected. So, don't get so wrapped up in your own side of the conflict that you fail to see hers. Sometimes when a conflict is serious, you can't avoid it. You have to meet it head on. That's what Amy did. How did it turn out? Well, it took some time, but the two of them managed to work out most of their problems and stay together. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not difficult. There are some basic skills that you can learn to keep yourself out of unnecessary conflicts. If you know the skills of assertiveness, you can stand up for yourself without having to knock someone else down, but always be looking for ways to compromise. Many conflicts could be avoided so simply by delaying a response, counting to 10. If you know how to use constructive criticism, you can tell people that you want them to change and they won't dislike you for it. Remember to choose the right time and place for your criticism, and always criticize behavior, not the person. And recognize that good listening is essential if two people really want to get along. Being non-defensive and open can change personality conflicts into workable relationships. Wouldn't it be wonderful? A world without conflict. Quiet, peaceful.